Welcome back to Old Hollywood Briar. We're out hours into the High Sierra wilderness here. Driving the roads, you can see that they're not maintained by anyone. There's been a lot of trees that have fallen into the roads. I moved to that first one that I saw and then just happened to see tree after tree after tree, way too many to move. Whoever lives out here comes by and just saws off one direction of ability to get through, and evidently it just leaves the rest. You can see how clear this water is here. It's just beautiful water coming from the High Sierra Rockies down off the snow melt. When I was up here at this time last year, there was snow all through here, but it's been a very dry and warm winter up here in California. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Drucquer Sons Levant Mixture. Remember that Drucquer Sons is a blend recreation by GLPs that recreates the blends that he remembered from the Drucquer Sons shop. If you'll recall, Charles Dickens was known to have stopped by the original shop in London, and then John Drucquer moved out to Berkeley out here in California, opened up a new shop. Let's pop this open here. Oh yes, that red Ready Virginias that we're used to seeing got a little bright in there too. They added for sweetness, and you can see some of that light Turkish ribbon and some of the Orientals in there as well, but mostly a lot of that dark Latakia. So this is going to be a pretty classic English Balkan, very dry, in line with the Drucquer Sons line. Gets a fresh scent of old boot, a little bit of that kind of health food store bran muffin scent, but not much of that yeasty goodness that you normally get with the Virginias. You can see it's a pretty full mixture. It's got lots of Latakia in there. This is supposed to be the richest mixture of the Drucquer Sons line. You know, a lot of people will say that the only really impressive tin of this line was Blair Gowrie. I really liked the Devil Zone and Prince's blend. Actually, I thought both of those were pretty good. I burned through those pretty quick. Pack this up here just like a mongrel. You really want to be careful of smoking out in the woods. I'm not in the national park here, but I'm standing over a creek actually right now as I'm loading this thing with wet ground all around me, so I'm not too scared about lighting any fires. You know, the only place I'd smoke really up here is if I was standing in a river or if it was a smoky, but definitely got to be aware of your situations here. Packed tightly and nicely so you don't get a bunch of flying embers falling off everywhere. I don't have a wind cap, unfortunately, but that would be a good thing to pack as well if you're out there smoking in the woods. At first breath, the smokiness of the Cyprian Latakia and the Turkish ribbon meld together to give you that scent of, I used to smoke Camels, and I get a real camel kind of taste to this blend. It's got, it's got a bunch of richness to it. It is very full, but you're not tasting a lot of those red Virginias. Instead, it's really more of that Turkish kind of rich, little bit of a oriental note flavor, but not too much of that green olive. Just more of that kind of dark olive woody back end flavor. But I really just kind of just reminisce over a Camel when I'm smoking this, which, it's good, but it's not really on my top go-to English mixtures for sure. In fact, I don't want to rag on this blend, but it's really my least favorite in the Drucquer Sons line. It's supposed to be the most heavy, but, I like dark, rich blends. I like Gawith and Hogarth, brown slices. I like really heavy blends. This, to me, just has more of that Turkish aftertaste, and it's not a flavor that I really enjoy. For me, I like a Durbar or a Balkan Sassini that has a little bit more of that maybe Izmir Turkish or Oriental, where it's got more of a green olive. And speaking of olives, here's a rigatoni I made with sliced Kalamata olives topped with sun-dried tomatoes. There's a tomato sauce base to this, but the sun-dried tomatoes on top with the salami, the sausage, the little bits of pepperoni and ham really came together nicely. Shook a little oregano on that and just really knocked it out of the park. It was a really good tasting pasta. You see the result here. And that mozzarella cheese all melted in there. Grated some Parmesan on top as well. It was just really good. There was a sweetness to it that was just amazing. All right, well, I got some extra footage that I've been throwing around. When I was coming back from Utah, I stopped through and drove down the Las Vegas Strip here. Figure I'd take you with me. When I was a kid, my dad liked to gamble, so we would go to Vegas a lot. Mom never would come. She hated Vegas. She used to call it Sin City. But me and Pop would head on out there, and I would usually cruise around the arcade and have fun. This was in the early 90s. It was a different time back then, late 80s, early 90s. And one time when we went out, I was 15, freshman in high school, a bit older. Had a beard since I was about 15 years old. I always looked a lot older. And so, I was able to gamble with him. We were gambling, playing little poker things at the bar. And, went and even sat down at a blackjack table by myself and started playing blackjack because, he had taught me how over the years. And it was pretty funny. The guy next to me sat down in a suit, got carded by the dealer. She was like, "How old are you? Let me see your ID." I just shook my head. I was 15 years old. Doubled down. So we were staying, this is back in the day when the Tropicana was the cool place to stay, and we were staying at the Tropicana, and they had a comedy stop, they called it. It was like basically a comedy show, and you had to be 21 to get in. So, we figured out a way. I made it in the door. And we were in there, and we were watching the comedians, and it was really funny. And at the last comedian gets up, and it's a ventriloquist, and she calls on audience participation. And who does she call up there? Of course, me. And so I get up there on the stage, and she's like, "What do you do?" And I say, "Well, I'm in school." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, what grade?" And I lied and said I was a senior. And she's like, "Oh, senior in college." I'm like, "Nope, I'm in high school." And she said, "Uh-oh, somebody's not doing their job." But again, this was back in the time when it wasn't such a big deal, I guess. We continued on with the show. Had a great time. I gambled a little bit more, went home. Really kind of fell out of love with Vegas as I got older. Just wasn't really that into gambling or all that flashiness. But it's still a cool place to visit. I have friends that live there. If you've ever been to Vegas or you like to go, comment below what your favorite Vegas buffet is. My favorite one the last time I was there was actually the Paris buffet because they had amazing bread. But I haven't been to Vegas, aside from here. I'm driving through Vegas right now, but I haven't really been to Vegas to visit since the Billboard Awards like 4 years ago, so I don't really remember anything, and I don't know, or I don't really know what's going on right now. So would love to hear, because next time I go through, Vegas buffets are legendary. I wouldn't mind stopping by the one that you thought was best. So whoever thinks that the best, they know the best buffet there, go ahead and comment below. Man, I had some good times here. I used to also stay at Caesar's Palace. That place was pretty cool.